Hello everyone, this is Alex here from Van Ganta House Kennels from German Shepherd breeder in New Jersey, and I have a litter of pups and I decided to take a little time out of my day to record this video. This video is about what qualities to look for to get the best possible obedience prospect, service dog prospect, or protection dog prospect in a litter. So, which qualities would I look for if the service for a service dog, for an obedience competition obedience dog, and which qualities do I look for a protection dog? So, enough of my customers have asked me, well, how do I know which puppy I will get, and how do you test for it? Or some of my previous customers asked me this question from previous litters. And I also train dogs for other people. We do board and train here. And people ask me before they get a dog, they said, Alex, what breeds or what dogs make the best obedience prospect if I want to compete in obedience or if I want a service dog? So I thought this video is a topic that I don't see covered very much, and I figured I'd put a video on it. Alright, so let's begin at the beginning. What qualities do I look for either in a great obedience dog or a great service dog? The first quality I look for is sociability. The dog has to be very, very social. A dog which will be a service dog will go out into the world, meet a lot of people, be in a lot of strange places, and has to not be aggressive to people and has to be greeted in a friendly way by people. So a good obedience prospect as well as a good service dog prospect is a dog that is extremely social. Now, people make mistakes in selecting a dog which is social. Let me explain what I mean. There are two mistakes people make when they're selecting for sociability in a dog or a puppy. So let's say a dog comes over to you as a puppy and it stays near you and wants to be with you, and you call it over saying, puppy, 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 come, 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 come. And the puppy runs to you. Now, puppy that runs to you is a very social puppy. It wants to be with people. You want a quality in the dog that is highly attracted to people. Puppies that love people, love verbal praise, love being petted, love the attention of human beings as opposed to other dogs. That is a very critical quality in terms of sociability. What you don't want is a puppy which is social but then stays with you because it's unsecure to go anywhere else away from you. In other words, you want a puppy that is social but then confident enough to walk away for a minute or so, explore its environment, see the room it's in. Hopefully you're testing the puppies on the 49th day of their life, which is the most critical time to test the puppies, in the 6th week. On the 49th day, that is the ideal time before their fear period kicks in, which is a little later. I'll have a video on fear period later on. So you want to test on the 49th day if possible. And so how a puppy enters a room, confidently explores its environment, but then comes to you, but then it doesn't hang with you because it's afraid to explore. It hangs with you because it wants to hang with you. That's where understanding the genetics of the litter and the breed also matters. If you don't know how to evaluate yourself, get a pro to help you evaluate litter if you're buying a service dog or an obedience prospect. But don't confuse sociability with neediness and fear of being away from you for even a minute. The other thing to look and to avoid is an antisocial dog, an overly independent dog. That's a dog which comes over to you, says hi, then explores the room, wants to explore everything around, which is fine, independence is good, but then you call it back, come puppy, come puppy, come puppy, and the dog could care less. The dog wants to do what it wants to do. It's not social, it wants to be independent. The very independent dog is a hard to train dog in obedience. It's very hard to get that dog's attention. It doesn't need you. It doesn't need human praise. It's fine on its own. It doesn't clamor human praise and contact. So again, it doesn't come back to you when you call it after it explores the room. The puppy that comes back to you after exploring the room is displaying both independence and sociability. The puppy that continues exploring the room and avoids coming back to you at all costs, that's too independent to be an obedience prospect or a service dog prospect. So that's the first thing I look for, sociability. Another thing to look for in choosing a puppy for either obedience work or service work is a puppy that has good food drive. Too often people choose a dog based on they fall in love with it. The puppy runs over to them and it's love at first sight. That's fine if all the puppies in the litter test very similarly. And of course go by you falling in love with the puppy because that has an emotional connection to you. But also use your head and use reasoning a little bit when testing a litter. Rely on your breeder who knows these puppies from day one in evaluating a litter. So you want a puppy to eat food being lured by your hand, even though it's in a strange environment and in a room it's never been in before. If the puppy is like with food, like, I could take it or leave it, I'm not really that caring. A lot of obedience training is done through food. If the dog is not that food motivated, it's much harder to train. Now don't get me wrong, we can increase food drive in a dog, but it's better off that you're starting off with a dog with excellent food drive, because food drive is important in training a dog. A dog that refuses food just because it's in a different environment than what it's used to, that doesn't say much about food, it says something about its nerves. That it doesn't, if a dog refuses to eat, even though it's hungry, because it's upset by the environment it's in, that's not food drive problem, that's a nerve problem. So I just want you to think it through as what I'm saying. So food drive is very important. Good food motivation makes for a good obedience prospect or service dog prospect. The third thing I would look for in a puppy for obedience work or service work is high retrieve drive. You take a crumpled up piece of paper because the puppy is too small to take a full ball in its mouth at that age. So you crumple up a small piece of paper, not very big. And you toss it on the ground and you want to see if the puppy runs after it but then brings it back to you. If a puppy runs after it but then carries it away and plays keep away, the dog has prey drive because a moving object entitled it to chase it, but it doesn't have retrieve drive. Good obedience prospects always have good retrieve drive, genetically good retrieve drive. It wants to share in its spoils with you, so to speak. So a dog for either service work or obedience work has pretty good retrieve drive, in my experience. So that's another quality you look for in a potential service dog / obedience dog. Now, what other quality are you looking for in a service dog or obedience prospect? Well, you want a dog which is highly biddable. You want a dog which follows you around, wants to be near you, attracted to you, not very dominant but not very submissive. A dog which slinks around and puts its ears down, that dog is too submissive to be trained. It's not a good prospect for either obedience or service work. You want a self-confident puppy that exudes confidence. Confidence is very key. The dog has to be confident in the surroundings it's in. Another test for a good service prospect / obedience prospect is noise sensitivity. You want a dog which is not noise sensitive, which will explore a strange sound and then not fall apart because it doesn't know what that sound means. You could take a starter pistol and fire it. Obviously not a real gun, but a toy pistol which makes a noisy sound. You want the dog to be test for gun sureness. If you're testing for a protection dog, you want a dog which is not gun shy. Or you drop a metal bowl on the floor and it makes a loud banging sound. You want a dog which will look at it, maybe be startled, which is a natural response to be startled. But then it bounces back and explores it. It doesn't stay startled. In other words, it has easily recoverability. Its nervous system is intact, it's not nervous. Another thing to look for in an obedience prospect and service dog prospect is the breed. Now, I'm a German Shepherd breeder, so I'm going to pick the German Shepherd, but there are about 5 or 6 breeds which I would put at the top of the obedience game, and they are The Collie, the British Collie, you know, Lassie, that's a very good service dog prospect / obedience prospect. The Border Collie, a very good obedience prospect. The French Poodle, very good obedience prospect. The Labrador Retriever, very good obedience prospect. The Golden Retriever, also a very good obedience prospect. The German Shepherd, obviously, excellent obedience prospect, very intelligent. So these are the top 5. Now, can other dog breeds be trained in service work or obedience work? Sure. You can have a Dalmatian, which is a great obedience dog. You can have a Cane Corso, be a great obedience dog. Any dog can be trained. Can a Basset Hound be a great obedience dog? It takes a German Shepherd 3 repetitions what a Basset Hound will do in 50 repetitions. It's just not meant to be an obedience dog. That breed is kind of not the right breed for obedience work. Not to say it's a bad breed, it's just not the right breed for this work. So, there's a lot of breeds I'm excluding, obviously. The Rottweiler is easily trained in obedience. The Doberman Pinscher is easily trained in obedience. The French Besseron, easily trained in obedience. A lot of the herding breeds or retrieving breeds are basically easily trained in obedience. But these are the top 5. The Labrador Retriever, Golden Retriever, English Collie, the Scottish Collie, the Border Collie, the German Sheepdog, the German Shepherd, and the Belgian Sheepdog, the Belgian Malinois. Those are all highly trainable breeds in obedience. So if you pick a Basset Hound and you want it to be an obedience prospect, I don't recommend it. So the breed choice also has an effect on the obedience ability of the breed. Now, having said that, we're going to go to the third topic, which is what makes for a great protection prospect. All right, what makes for a great protection dog is all the same qualities which makes for a great service dog and obedience dog. But a couple of more things are involved. You want a dog with the highest degree of prey drive. You want to take a rag, a burlap sack, put it on the floor and shake it like it's prey or a mouse moving. And you want a dog which will shake its head like it's killing the prey. A dog which is extremely high in prey drive is a better obedience prospect than a dog which is low in prey drive. If you toss a ball and the dog runs after it but then spits it out and then it loses interest very quickly, that's not a good prospect for protection work. It might be a good prospect for obedience, but not a good prospect for protection. So you definitely want a high degree of prey drive in an obedience prospect. Having said that, people think all German Shepherds are the same. They're in fact not. I have a separate video about the 5 types of German Shepherds in existence today. I invite you to check it out. A link will be in the description. Now, if you're breeding a dog, let's say a German Shepherd, from a gene pool where the dogs were used for sheep herding, and generation after generation the dogs herded sheep. Well, it's a German Shepherd but has a natural affinity for sheep. So that niche or that bloodline is for that purpose. If you had a generation of dogs which were bred for guiding the blind as guide dogs, and generation after generation you chose dogs from that gene pool, the odds are a puppy out of that gene pool would be good for guiding the blind. In other words, within the same gene, within the same breed, you have different gene pools or sub-breeds, in other words, or niches in the breed, which are good for certain purposes. So if you're selecting a puppy from working lines with a police background, from police dogs, or that come from the bite sports, the odds are high that the dog will be able to do protection or police work. Not every dog in the litter will do it, and not every dog is a potential police dog. But if your line of dogs is from dog sports, those dogs will be better, potentially, as sport dogs for Schutzhund, now called IGP. They keep changing the name. I don't know why. I still call it Schutzhund. I'm an old-timer. So that's pretty much the summary. So now a lot of people say, well, I want to get the puppy that runs up to me and I fall in love with it. A lot of people pick a dog that they go to the breeder and they get the dog that runs up to them, and the first dog that runs up to them, the dog picked me, this must be the right puppy for me. That may be a very dominant puppy that simply is so confident that it runs to you and it wants to be ahead of everybody, of its litter mates. It's competitive. it may not be the right dog for you. So in other words, use your heart, but also use your brain. If you have a lot of puppies which test similarly in a litter, then of course use the one which melts your heart, because they all tested similarly. But if you have puppies which are all over the place and there's no consistency in the litter, use a little bit of reasoning, not just your heart. So picking a puppy is a matter of both heart and logic. Rely on your breeder. They know that litter from inside out from the day they were born. They were observing that litter from day one. They know their litter and they know who is who in that litter. So I hope this information helps you. Stay tuned. I will demonstrate a Volhar puppy test soon, and I invite you to look that up. But that's not the only criteria for testing puppies. But this gives you some thoughts